So let's take a look at what's in the box. This is the artwork on the lid, showing a 313th Squadron Royal Dutch Air Force. That's one of the sprues, first sprues. They're moulded in a nice grey rigid plastic, nicely moulded, crisp clean parts, very little flash, some nice little details in the wheel wells, and nicely recessed panel lines, as you can see on the fuselage halves there. So there's a 8-page or 8-sided assembly instruction booklet, which is a tri-fold, folds out to 2 large sides, 4 sections. That's the first 3 sections of the assembly instructions. That's 4 and 5 of the assembly instructions. This is section 6, the final part of the assembly instructions, and the first sheet showing 2 of the 4 marking options. And that's the sheet of decals. Decals are really nice. They're made in Italy, and they're the 2 clear canopies, so you can do the single seat or the 2-seat. I'm doing the 2-seat version. So let's get on with the build. As always, wash the parts in warm soapy water first, let them air dry before I start doing anything, and then it was on to the first stage when everything was dry, the cockpit. As you can see, the cockpit is very bare. It's just 2 seats placed into tubs with side consoles and 2 instrument panels. So I stuck them together, put them into the lower half, and thought to myself, this needs a little dressing up. So I started some scratch building. I got a couple of little pieces there I found in the spares box. Some more pieces there that I thought cut up, turn into foot pedals. And this is what we did, the first stage of scratch building. I added 2 ejector guide rails on each side of the seats and added the foot pedals. Next, I glued in the instrument panels that came into the kit, into the bottom of the upper half. I then wanted to put some walls in there, extra stuff, so using pieces of plastic off the runners, I cut them out, and I added 2 rear walls there, a top surface wall, and 2 front walls, as well as that actuator for the canoper. And that's an underside view showing all the wall sections that I added. Next stage, I added 2 ejector pull handles, 1 for each seat, and 2 oxygen bottles on the port sides of the seats. After doing that, I primed everything and then detail painted. You see the yellow ejector handles there. The seats were painted an olive green, and the pedals were given a silver colour. Next, stage 4, I added the HUD side brackets. You can see them there, the head-up display unit. And then I added seat belts, and they were made out of the foil from a wine bottle. There you go, 4 pieces to each seat. And I painted those, and after that it was on to clear coat, and gloss clear coat, ready for decaling. As you can see, the decals only come with the instrument panel decals, nothing for the side consoles. So I stuck those instrument panel decals in place. I then got some spares. I only had 1/48 scale cockpit decals, so I chopped them up into pieces. I used 3 sections on each port side and 4 sections of decals on each starboard side, so a total of 14 pieces of decal. I then painted those decals, added some coloured buttons, and then I added an extra decal plus the front and rear lenses to the head-up display, and again painted some coloured buttons here and there on top of those decals, which were black and white, just to give some colour. So with that all done, everything was ready for assembly. So I gave it a matte clear coat, and then assembled the upper and lower halves of the fuselage assemblies, and then it was on to stage 2, which was assembling the air intake assembly on the underside of the fuselage. So I got all those pieces together, plus those 2 fins, which could be vortex or stabilizers. And there we go. I started off by assembling the 2 small pieces near the nose. I then packed the nose with putter because it needs 10 grams of weight because it's a tail sitter. Stuck the nose on, and then assembled the wings, the stabilizers and the tail fin. I left the engine assembly off so it'd be easier to paint, and there's the air intake assembly assembled and those 2 fins on the bottom. There was some filling to do, so around the nose and in the wing roots I put a bit of filler, and around the underside there you can see around the nose and a little bit in the wing assembly, wing to fuselage joints, and then there was some gaps around the tail to fuselage joint. Next I fully masked the canister, and then it was on to assembling the ancillary parts, bombs and drop tanks. So I got all those pieces together, assembled the bombs, drop tanks, and put everything onto cocktail sticks to make ready for painting. Everything was then cleaned down, and she was ready for the next stage, which will be priming and painting and decaling. So until build update number 2, guys, Talio chots away. Thanks for watching.
Italeri.